Welcome to They Are Waiting for Us from Forbes Books, the podcast that explores how education can transform lives and communities, featuring conversations with change agents who are making a difference in education, from parents and advocates to teachers and leaders. Here's Dr. Lisa Andrew.
I'm back with Micah Kennedy, a professional learning manager at code.org. We've been discussing the rising influence of AI in education. Now, Micah, Richard Elmore's framework emphasizes the need to build teacher capacity through professional learning, which is the focus of code.org's work. We've covered the student perspective, so now let's discuss the role of teachers as the gatekeepers to implementing and using this technology. How do you think the role of teachers will evolve with the increasing presence of computer science and AI in the classroom?
Allow me to be hopeful here for a moment.
I don't need to allow you. Yeah, I get it.
So AI can help teachers plan, grade, write emails, do all of those administrative tasks that take up so much of their time. So I saw in a survey, I forget exactly where, that about 50% of a teacher's time is spent on those administrative tasks instead of working with students. And I don't know about all teachers, but I know for me, that's what I wanted to be doing when I was teaching, was working with students. And I hope AI can help reduce the administrative burden for teachers. In the classroom, AI can provide individual support in a way that teachers can't do due to class sizes and lack of time. So for example, an AI technology could help students get personalized feedback while they're working through math problems and have the math problems get easier or harder or change or adjust based on how students are doing. And this isn't something a teacher can do for all kids at once. So when used properly with teacher supervision and remembering all those great traditional teaching methods that teachers have perfected over the years, it could really help teachers meet the needs of all students.
Great. So it's working in tandem. It's thinking about, if I can't be with the student right now, who can be with the student right now? Before it was, ask your neighbor. I remember I used to tell my students, ask 3 before me. And so maybe now it's, ask 2 and then AI before me. It's how to get those tools in there. And so this question, I've had several folks ask me, like, well, is AI a co-instructor? Or I've heard it referred to as a co-instructor. I think he referred to it as an assistant at the beginning of this conversation. Not quite sure. I don't want to remember incorrectly. And then some say, do not call it a co-instructor. That's giving it way too much privilege. That's putting it on par with the human aspect of this. So how will we teach teachers how to think with AI?
This is an interesting distinction here. I see it more like a co-planner right now, or a teaching assistant, a really good teaching assistant that's not also taking classes and doing all the things that teaching assistants traditionally have to do. Maybe one day we'll see AI as more of a co-instructor, but I think the technology just isn't there yet. We don't have the tools that are kind of safe to use in the classroom yet. So maybe one day, but AI is a really good co-planner. So especially when I'm thinking about computer science teachers or other teachers who don't have a department or a collaborative partner in their district, it can suggest lesson plans. It can help you come up with projects. It can help you differentiate an assignment for a student who's reading below grade level. So AI can really help with a lot of those tasks. I see it maybe one day as a co-instructor, but co-planner for sure.
Yeah. So do you think teachers and the teacher credentialing program and then all teacher PD, like, we need to start having really intense classes on prompt engineering?
I wouldn't say that, but maybe some of the basics, things like encouraging teachers to go play around with AI, use it, see what it does, try to break it like your students might. Check out some of those tools that have been specifically developed for educators. There's really cool sites out there that will differentiate a text for you or help you come up with assessment questions. And that's all the tool does. And it does a really good job of it. It's a great place to start. And then maybe learning a little bit about how AI works. You don't need to be a computer science expert. You really don't have to get very deep in any of that. You don't need to know how to code, but just know enough that you can talk to your students about it. If they say something about AI, you can keep an ear out and be like, wait, AI isn't always right. Or have you thought about the ethical concerns of what AI is providing you? Have you fact checked that? Just things like that.
Yeah. So what you would recommend is go to a specific AI tool that does a specific skill, like you said, taking the text and decoding it, differentiating it, or taking something and making a quiz out of it, versus starting with prompt engineering and ChatGPT.
Yeah, start easy, start simple, and then if you are excited about it, try out ChatGPT, try out something else. There's plenty to learn, but start with the basics first.
So how do you think your experience as a teacher influenced your approach to AI professional development?
I know for me, time was such a critical factor for me as a teacher. Teachers have so many restrictions on their time, and yet when I was a teacher, I had to sit through so many poorly done and irrelevant professional development sessions. I remember every Monday afternoon, it was like an hour of professional development, and I just wanted to finish my lesson plans for the next day and go home. And I know many of our teachers feel the same way. So I really strive kind of with any professional development that I'm working on, that it's relevant to teachers, that it's timely, and that we remove kind of all the fluff and make it as efficient as we can so the teachers get the main points, and then they can kind of get back to all the other things that are taking their time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. So I think I would appreciate attending professional development like that too. So cheating and plagiarism with AI is a huge concern of teachers, which is also a reason why they're, more barrier and shying away from it. But many times what we educators call cheating, business calls innovation. So how will we reconcile this as we prepare students for the future?
Yeah, I'd say this even goes beyond cheating. So copyright infringement is a huge factor with AI here. Where is it getting all this data from? Who's consenting to giving it all this data? So I think technology regulations in general are still figuring out what to do with AI. And I think that's going to end up playing a role in kind of this whole space of cheating and plagiarism as well. But one thing I wanted to say is just like AI is a tool. So educators can teach the students how to use the tool to support their learning instead of replacing it. So a student who's using AI just to get the answer to a homework problem, they're cheating, but that's something that they had access to on the internet probably as before as well. Exactly. And I remember when I was a student, when I didn't know the answer and I'd go search for it online, I'd get the answer, but I wouldn't get a good explanation of why that answer was true. If I got an explanation at all, it was usually pretty short. But ChatGPT and other AI technologies are really good at explaining topics. They can be really helpful to students who are not just looking for the answer, but for a reason why. So if you go ask ChatGPT, what was the answer on that homework question? And then you teach the student to prompt a little beyond that, you can actually have that student now have access to some good tutoring that's free for the student at home and very supportive for their learning. So I think thinking of AI as a tool, the other thing I want to talk about is you mentioned AI cheating detectors earlier on. I just want to say, please don't rely on them. They are not accurate. More often than not, they've been found to flag students whose first language isn't English instead of flagging essays written by AI. When you're thinking about cheating, you've been dealing with cheating as an educator for years now. You know when you get something that a student didn't do on their own. You can tell as an educator 9 times out of 10. It's the same thing with AI now. Just keep your critical thinking cap on. Look out for the same things you were looking out for already. This is not a huge disruption.
Yeah, I almost feel like, again, that we never really attended to this with the internet. So I think this is something that educators have been grappling with for a while and haven't mastered it or reconciled it or come to terms with it, even just with access to Googling, you know? And so now we're just bringing all of that forward when we have unresolved business with the internet, right?
It's true. Yeah.
But now we have these detectors, and yes, and I recently read that it's really, really become an issue in higher education where students are having to prove no, this is my work, and because they have been, their work has been put through an AI detector. And I read that a student put the professor's work through an AI detector, and it came up that it was built with AI just to show the professor, see, this can happen to you, or did you create this with AI? That sort of thing. We don't want to have students and their teachers be put in that position, because they're partners in this. So very interesting time. And I think it's just bringing up a lot of unresolved fears and philosophies that have to be looked at and dealt with. And then you have these school board people that are sitting on school board writing policy. They're like, oh my goodness, I don't even, how am I even supposed to know about this? And it's like one of those things that gets out in front, and then it's like, now how do we regulate it, right? Like you get a puppy and you're like, oh, I have to train it. He doesn't do it by itself. And then we're surprised and we're shocked and how much work this takes. And we find ourselves in that again, but we still keep the puppy and we still work with the puppy, right? Right. So that's what we have to do here. So let's end our time with some optimism. As you said, you wanted to put hope out in there. And what educational transformation are you most excited about? And what can we count on you to do about it?
Yeah, I'm excited about seeing assessment change and thinking about how we assess students. We were talking about Bloom's taxonomy levels before, and AI can really just kind of help students with those lower taxonomy levels. But I'm really hoping to see a shift in how we think about what's important to assess in students and how we do so. Let's decrease those Scantron tests. Let's get back to problem solving, creative projects, project-based assessments, all of those things, and test students more on their ability to use the information we're trying to teach them, ability to critically think about things, ability to collaborate. I'll do what I can about that in professional learning that I develop. We really do try to focus at code.org on project-based learning and collaboration and all of that. Take the focus off of kind of assessing rote memorization. But really, I want to encourage all of you now to just think about shifting how you think about assessment strategies, especially in this age of AI.
Yeah. And I think a student would much rather, it's also shifting the definition of being a good student. I think about when math changed and I had parents that understood this is how I did math in order to get an A, in order to get this, in order to get into Harvard, in order to get, or wherever they thought their child should be going. And then it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now you're going to assess my child on this. What does that mean about being a student? And now you have all these other skills, right? So it's not only the teachers and the student, but also the parents and the community. Like, what are we doing here? These are the things that I think they should know, because this is what I knew. And by knowing this, I was able to get this job, and then I was able to get this amount of money, right? So it's just like this whole mindset and this whole kind of like wheel that we get on about success. So I know I would much rather do a project-based assessment on a skill that I'm learning. So I bet you kids would like to do that too. So, well, Micah, if folks wanted to get in touch with you to find out more about you, your work, and or code.org, what should they do?
Best place to do is check out code.org, or if you're looking at AI stuff in particular, go to code.org/AI. We have a ton of free resources out there. Everything out there is free for students and teachers. We also just launched an AI 101. This is a self-paced professional learning for teachers and educators. It's all about what you need to know in the age of AI. It's a really great resource. It's free for you to use. So I recommend you check it out. And then I'm sure you can find my contact information or AI's contact information on there as well.
Great. Thank you very much for taking time to chat with me today. And I wish you all the best. And I hope that you continue to be wildly successful, which I think you're going to. And for listeners, if anything that was shared today resonated with you and you would like to continue the conversation with me, please send your thoughts through my contact page at drlisaandrew.com.
This has been They Are Waiting for Us. If you want to learn how to create economic opportunity through equal access to quality education and create an extraordinary learning environment focused on everyone realizing their full potential, go to drlisaandrew.com. They Are Waiting for Us is a production of Forbes Books.